Not 8 Numb, not 10 Numb, but 9 Numb. One of the most beloved Star Wars background aliens and four-time runner-up in the Lando Valentine's Day sweepstakes contest for Best Date in Cloud City. All right, well, we do know that 9 Numb is the co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon during Return of the Jedi, and because of this, it sort of boosts him to be more recognizable. There's the word I'm looking for, which means you get more toys. And when you get more toys, then you even become more recognizable. See how the loop works? Now, 9 Numb is throughout Return of the Jedi, but this is not 9 Numb. That is 10 Numb, his older brother, who is wearing a B-Wing outfit and not, as you notice, the vest that he has there in the middle. All right, so despite the fact that 9 Numb and 10 Numb get mixed up both in the movie and as action figures, 9 is the more popular version, and him in the vest is the more popular version of him. Whether or not he actually wore a B-Wing outfit in the movie is up for some debate. I still say he did not. Others say he did a quick change. Who knows? But for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, we have been treated to a re-release of one of the best 9 Numb sculpts ever created, the Vintage Series 1, that I think first came out in 2011. I could be mistaken about that. But the point is, it's several years old. And people have noticed, and full credit to Jedi Temple Archives, that does a fantastic review series on new figures, you'll notice that the one on the left, which is the reissue, has less paint. It's almost a cost-reduced version of the one on the right. In addition, a lot of fans were saying they had hoped that this figure could get new tooling so that he could finally be the correct height and even, well, more deco, so underneath the lip would get hit. The reason this can't happen is because of slots. The way slots work, and I've explained this in a few videos, is that toy lines are worked out in advance for the cost per figure. And figures are noted as being full tools, partial tools, redecos, or packaged only. So 9 Numb was clearly a package-only refresh. There were going to be no changes made to the figure. The reason he can't have new legs created to make him taller is because he was not slotted as a tooled figure. If you want to get a new 9 Numb, you have to wait until a fully tooled or partial tool slot becomes available. So many times characters can be created with minimal tooling, refreshes, just new heads, new capes. Other times, the tooling is balanced out by the re-release of older figures, and that's exactly what you have here. You have a re-release, a package-only execution that helps offset the cost of the tooling-intensive figures that ship in the same wave. Now, 9 Numb could have gotten a slot for a new tool, but a slot was available for a re-release. Now, the other reason that he looks different is because back when he was originally released, it didn't cost the same to produce him. Costs have skyrocketed. I think everyone knows about the cost of labor in China, the cost of raw goods, the cost of royalties that keep going up. And because of all of this, toys cost more to make than they did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So if you take the same formula that you went to make a figure from 5 or 10 years ago, and you go to the vendor, well, they're going to have to recost that figure at today's prices. So they can't just give you the same price that you got 5 years ago for a 9 Numb. He has to now be reevaluated, and the vendor will come to the toy maker, in this case Hasbro, and say, okay, to make this figure, now it costs this much money. It cost, let's say $4 in 2011, but now in 2023, it's going to cost $6 to make the same toy. Well, they have raised prices, but to make it look like there isn't really a bait and switch, they try to keep as close to the original deco as possible. But in this case, because toys cost way less when 9 Numb originally came out, the re-release has less deco because he has to fit into today's cost structure. So that's why 9 Numb has no new parts and less deco. It's all because of getting a figure to fit into the slot, where you have to then cost reduce an older figure to modern current pricing, because pricing has gone up since 9 Numb went into production years ago. So if you do want an all-new sculpt of 9 Numb that's height corrected and maybe even gets deco on that bottom lip there, that is still possible, but that would have to be a new or partial tool slot. You can't release an older figure in a partial tool, or you can't put a tooled figure in a package-only slot. And that is why 9 Numb years later doesn't look as good as the release he previously had. And hopefully that helps to understand how full assortments are done. Characters with more tooling in them are offset by the direct re-releases that then have to be costed out to the current price. So it really is about managing your expectations. You might be upset about Nien Numb, but you're upset about something that really couldn't happen because you can't offer a figure the exact same as years ago because prices have increased, and you can't take a figure for a packaged only slot and allocate tooling because it just doesn't balance out. You have to wait for a tooling slot to open and then do an all new or at least a partially new figure. All right, I hope this video helped explain the current Nien Numb situation, and as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. It's the best way to show support for this channel. Thanks, and I'll see you guys in the next video.